Okay. Yes. So we are recording this masterclass. Karibuni sana again to the class. My name is Charlene Kimara, professionally known as Mama Bima, and I'll be your guide through this class. Okay, so I want us to start by pondering, on why retirement planning is crucial. Okay, and we are asking ourselves, why is retirement planning crucial? Like, why does retirement planning matter? Okay, and number one, financial security. Okay, because please remember, retirement planning will help us ensure financial security during our golden years when we are much older. It allows us to accumulate our savings and investments over our working years so that we can maintain a comfortable lifestyle without relying on government pension programs. This week, I was actually reading on the BD, actually yesterday on the Business Daily, they carried a story that the Inua Jamii plan, which is, for those who are already on the call, are you conversant with some of the government pension programs that are running? We do have what we call the Inua Jamii pension program, where Kenyans above the age of 70 are given a living stipend of about 2,000 shillings per month by the government. And the CS in charge of this announced that the January and February disbursements for 2024 would be made in March, and it would be a total of 4,000 shillings. And I sat down and I was like, whoa, now, please try figure this out. Maybe you're 20 years away from your retirement, you're 15 years away, 5 years away. How would you make 2,000 shillings per month work for you if you are solely relying on the government to sort you for your retirement? Okay, think about it. For those of us maybe who've been in formal employment for a while now, yes, we have started to see some positive ways, moves that are being done with NSSF, but for the longest, NSSF, the amount that we were contributing into the NSSF fund was how much? 100 shillings per month, okay? And every time you listen to those who have actually retired, they tell you that whatever they get from NSSF can barely even take them through a few months, okay? So the reason why we are in this class today is because we want to assure ourselves that we have financial security, okay? And the reason why we do retirement planning, key number one, is for financial security in our golden years. Number two, longevity. With all the advancements that are happening in healthcare, it's almost a given that people are living longer than they were in the past. Therefore, we need to plan for retirement to ensure that we have sufficient financial resources to cover a potentially, extended period of life in our retirement years. There's a possibility, that, and a lot of us are starting to aspire for an early retirement. In my day-to-day, I interact a lot with a lot of clients who tell me, Charlene, I want to retire at 50. I am, all the time I am, purchasing annuities or income drawdowns for clients as young as 51 or 53. And they tell you, I'm done, I'm done with the 8 to 5. And that already tells you, if you are retiring at 51, can you imagine them living probably to what, 85? I mean, that is, that's a very long and drawn out, retirement phase of life. So then it's very important to retirement planning, because then you are able to factor in and to plan for those 30 or so years that you have even after retirement. Okay, so if you're joining us now, we have started by looking at why it is important to do retirement planning. Okay, so, and for those who are joining us now, karibuni sana. Let me admit those in the waiting room. Okay, yes. And the third reason, okay, why we do retirement planning, okay? One is to maintain our lifestyle, okay? Because right now, when we are actively, in employment, there's a lifestyle that we have become accustomed to, okay? So retirement planning enables you to maintain your desired lifestyle even after your income earning years are done, okay? And it helps you estimate like your post-retirement costs and your expenses. And it ensures that you have enough savings to actually cater for those expenses, okay? And when I talk of post-retirement expenses, we are talking of maybe your healthcare, okay? Your leisure activities. And I'm very keen to know, and if you can please indulge us on the chat, like what does your retired, if I may call it that, what does your lifestyle in retirement look like? Okay. Is it just, are you somewhere maybe in a shamba, maybe doing dairy farming, or are you the one who says, in my retirement, I want to be able to afford a trip or two annually? Okay, I want to be able to go down to Diani, or I want to be able to go on a cruise. You get? So please engage us on the chat. And on the chat, I see we have Chelsea joining us from Narumoru. We have David from the United States of Utawala, Kahawaskari, Woodley, Karibuni Sana to everyone who has joined us. And thank you very much for representing your hometown. Now, and on the chat right now, please engage us on what does your desired, or your dream lifestyle look like in retirement, okay? Now, another reason why it's important to do retirement planning is so as to protect ourselves against inflation. Guys, if there's something that every Kenyan is grappling with and crying over, you go to the supermarket to even buy basics and you find everything looks like it has tripled. If before you were doing household shopping maybe of about 25,000, right now you're probably, at 50 plus, And the truth is the cost of living, when you project, when you look into the future, it does not look like things will get any easier. What I believe is if bread is already at, let's say 65, I don't expect that commodity to ever go back to the levels of 50 bob, right? Things just keep getting more expensive, over the years. So one key reason why we do retirement planning is because we know inflation can erode the purchasing power of money over time. So by planning for our retirement, then you're able to factor in the impact of inflation on your expenses and make sure your savings grow sufficiently to keep up with the rising costs, okay? Also, reducing dependence on others. I know we have many in this class who are probably grappling with a lot of either black tax, having to take care of our aging parents. In my day-to-day work, I realized that a lot of, a lot of my age mates, we are the ones, who are currently taking care of our parents, the ones catering for their medical expenses. So it is us who are actually buying the medical covers for our parents and so on, okay? And I'm not sure if for those of us who are on this call, if this is a burden that we want to transfer to our children. Number one, I'm not even sure that this younger generation of kids will probably have hearts like ours, and also even the capacity to take up such heavy burdens, okay? So by doing proper retirement planning, okay, you are able to ensure that you are not depending, on, your family for financial support during retirement, okay? It allows you to have an element of financial independence and just reduces the burden on your loved ones, okay? Next, why else? Why else do we need to do retirement planning? and why, why should you get started today? If maybe you're at a point where you've just been doing the basics, okay? It's my hope that by the end of this masterclass, you will be feeling that drive to get started ASAP with your retirement planning journey. And the next reason why retirement planning matters is peace of mind. When you know that you have a well thought out retirement plan in place, this provides you with peace of mind. I mean, it will reduce any anxiety that you may have about the future, okay? And it allows you to enjoy your retirement years without constantly worrying about financial stability, okay? So thank you to everyone who has joined the class. We are looking at why retirement planning matters, okay? And why else does retirement planning matter? Healthcare costs, okay? I think it is no secret that healthcare inflation in our country, the cost of healthcare is skyrocketing with every passing year, okay? This year you may be buying, your seniors medical insurance, you could get started at 120. In some 2 years, you're finding yourself, you're already in the region of 160, thereabouts, okay? So now put yourself in the shoes of someone, so you're retired, you have your spouse, you need to provide for the cover, the medical insurance cover for the two of you, okay? And it's actually getting to a point. I currently even have a client who pays approximately, not approximately, over 400K on a year-to-year basis for his cover and his spouses, okay? And healthcare expenses, they often increase as people age, okay? And also as we age, that is when we also need like proper healthcare even more. So the question you should be asking yourself, are you comfortable depending on just NHIF? Okay, and NHIF, the access to the hospitals that it will give you. So there will probably be need for you to supplement, that NHIF so that you can get better access, access to better specialists, access to better facilities and so on. So the reason why you need to do retirement planning is so that you are able to factor in your potential healthcare costs in your retirement, and you start to make arrangements to cover them, either through insurance or through any other means that you may decide. In case you want to just do a fund for yourself, then you can do so, okay? And lastly, okay, and this is a movement that I am seeing with also a lot of young Kenyans. A lot of people are aspiring to retire early, okay? If you are on the Instagram space, I would highly recommend, there's a lady called Kenyan on Fire. Please follow her page. I do follow her like religiously. She's on the FIRE movement, the financially independent retirement early journey. And you are starting to see a lot of people are aspiring, by 50, I do not want, to still be in active employment. So if that is one of the goals that you have in life, then that is why you need to actually embark on doing retirement planning, okay? Because then it allows you to accumulate sufficient funds to support a longer retirement period, okay? So in a nutshell, retirement planning is not just about saving money, okay? And that is what we'll be looking at in today's class. It's about creating a comprehensive strategy that ensures a financially secure and fulfilling retirement, okay? So we need to start early. We need to regularly review and adjust these plans, okay? And also, hopefully, today you'll get to see the need of seeking professional advice in that journey, because that can contribute significantly to the success of your retirement goals, okay? So to everyone who's, I see Joy is rejoining the meeting. Irene has also joined us. Welcome to the class. we've just looked at why retirement planning matters. Okay, so now we can move to the next slide. And I want us to start by debunking some of the maybe common retirement myths that are out there. But even before I share mine, I know they are on your screen. I see Simon asking me, what is that Instagram handle again? Simon, her handle is Kenyan on fire, like motto, a Kenyan who is on fire, Kenyan on fire. Okay, so for me, she has really embraced the fire movement. I really admire how she's her investment strategy, especially. She is someone who's out there, who's trying her hand on equities, on bonds, on commodities, even investing, even like outside Kenya. So very her investment strategy, her protection strategy is something that we can learn a lot from. Okay, and I see on the question of the lifestyle, what lifestyle you envision for yourself in retirement. I see Margaret saying she'll need to afford her current lifestyle in Nairobi, plus kids' college fee in retirement. And I love that, Margaret, because Margaret has already looked ahead and realized that even during retirement, she'll not yet be done with, paying fee. Okay, so she's starting her planning right now. Okay, yes, there you go. Kathy Muria has put the Instagram handle. Simon, you can look at that, Kenyan on Fire on Instagram. Okay, so let's now consider what are some of the myths that we keep hearing about retirement. Okay, and one, okay, retirement is all about the end of life. Have you heard of that? And probably because we are, a society, that doesn't like to think about end of life, like maisha inaisha. But you see, if you have maybe parents in their 60s, in their 70s, we've watched our parents probably now down their tools and start their retirement phase. And you actually realize that even in your 60s, someone is still very, energetic. There's still so much, and I like to say this, by the way, retirement, it's a saying that I love within the retirement circles. Retirement is actually not about the age. Okay, retirement is not about age. It's about lifestyle. It's about that desired lifestyle. Okay, so probably if you can afford, your desired lifestyle at 55, why not? You can go ahead and retire. You get? So by retirement planning, we want to be able to afford that lifestyle. But now, for now, let's first debunk some of the common myths and misconceptions that surround retirement planning. And myth number one is retirement is about end of life. But the truth is, when it comes to retirement, it's actually the beginning of a new chapter. Okay, so it is for you to decide what will that new chapter look like for yourself. Okay, is it maybe a chapter where you are still able to afford the freedoms you had when you were still working? Okay, is it a chapter where you're able to make a trip here and there? Or is it a chapter of worries and, stress, and also overly depending on your children and straining them? Okay, so retirement, let's internalize today that retirement is not end of life. It's actually just the beginning of a new chapter. And we already saw that this could be a chapter that's very long drawn out. It could be a chapter that spans 30 years or another 4 decades, even after you retire. Number two myth that I come across, it's that the idea that there's a universal formula for retirement. Okay, and one thing I like to stress is that there's no one size fits all when it comes to retirement. Like retirement is very, very personal. Okay, so the retirement strategy that I would use would not be the same retirement strategy that somebody like, Angela would be using, okay? Because retirement needs to be very personal, because each and every one of us has our own unique aspirations. We have our own different circumstances and financial goals. We've seen Margaret, even in her retirement, her children will still be going through school, okay? Someone else who probably in retirement, maybe their kids will already be in their 30s or so, okay? So maybe no longer in school. So when it comes to retirement planning, it is not something that you can pick from someone else's strategy. You need to come up with your own retirement planning strategy, or your own retirement plan, okay? So remember that personalized planning is very key, okay? Now, myth number 3 that I find when it comes to retirement is that you can't catch up on retirement savings if you start late. I must say this, unfortunately for most of us, unless you started maybe in formal employment from the word go, straight from college, and you were lucky enough to be with maybe an employer who runs or who provides pension as a benefit, most of the other Kenyans whom I encounter, you find that we come to realize the importance of retirement planning, or the importance of using, pension plans and all these other tools that we can use for retirement planning. We come to that realization much later in life, okay? Probably well into our 30s or even 40s, okay? But then there's a myth that if you're already late, it doesn't make sense to start, okay? So please, today, hopefully we'll get to actually debunk this myth. Of course, there is a lot of a huge advantage if you start early, okay? I always say, from the first month that you start earning income, you should actually start your retirement planning journey then, okay? But then also, if you have not been doing so, and then make today your first day of doing so. Whether you're in your 40s or even in your 50s, it's never too late. At the end of the day, if you start today, by the time you retire, you will be better starting today than never starting at all. Okay, and lastly, a myth around Social Security will cover all your expenses in retirement. I believe now we have seen that with the current, if we are to look at the social programs that are there in our country for retirement, if you are to depend on something like Inua Jamii Plan, okay, please remember, Inua Jamii only gives 2,000 shillings per month to Kenyans, and you can imagine, for someone who doesn't have any other livelihood, that is actually what you should be surviving on for a whole month. Sometimes I shake in horror. I can only imagine. 2,000 shillings is probably what you spend, in a day or two, you'll get into a restaurant, you'll buy maybe a meal for yourself and your friend, and the 2K is gone. Yet you can imagine this vulnerable, older you only receiving 2,000 shillings from your government, okay, in your old age, and being expected to live within that for a whole month. So of course, it's better than nothing, but please, today we need to debunk this, that Social Security programs are not enough to cover your expenses in retirement. Okay, so I'm keen to hear what other myth is out there, or what other myths have you encountered, on matters retirement. Okay, please, as we said, let's actively engage on the chat. Okay, and let's share our thoughts on the chat. I feel that the more we get to share, the more you'll be able to take away from this class. Okay. So if you have any myth that you've had on matters retirement planning, please share with us on the chat or on the wall. And I really encourage you, to challenge the assumptions that you might have, or maybe you've had about retirement. This week, a good friend of mine just told me, she was discussing with her dad, and she came to the conclusion that, pension products are not good, that she will actually save for her retirement through money market funds. This is a young lady in her early 30s, and we had to sit down and have a very candid conversation around it's not this versus that, but how can we marry in this investment journey and this retirement planning journey? How can she marry these two products so that by the end of the day, so we had to really go back to the basics and look at what is the place for pension products, what is the place for all these IPPs and so on? Because actually she had stopped contributing into her pension. So it's good to challenge some of those assumptions that we have about retirement. And it's my hope that through this masterclass, you will become empowered to see beyond these myths, and so that you are able to make informed decisions about your financial future. Okay, so let me see. I see Simon saying retirement isn't for me. I'm still young and my businesses and investments are enough. Yes, I yes, I get that assumption a lot. And we will get to see later just what it means for a young person, what compound interest does for you in your retirement journey. I think it will blow your mind. And if you ever had any doubts, if you're in your 20s and you're thinking, isn't it too early to get started? I think today I'll have a lot of people converted when we get to look at the power of compounding. I see Maggie telling us that another myth is that my children are my retirement plan. Okay, so I know we do have a lot of retirement plans in this class, and I get it. I am literally I would say I am my parents' retirement plan, and I don't, I don't get angry about it. Sometimes I look at all the opportunities that have been afforded by life, and I'm happy. And when I think of just what my mom maybe was able to do with the very limited resources she had, I'm so proud of her. So I have taken up that responsibility, with a lot of pride and joy, to be able to know that I'm in a position to really take care of my mom. But I keep asking myself, when I look at my little 5-year-old, can I count on my little Daniela to be my retirement plan? Of course not. And anyway, I wouldn't want to transfer that burden, because even as we take care of our parents, with, appreciation of the journey that they've traveled, we still know that black tax is heavy. Black tax probably also denies us a lot of opportunities, that otherwise, if it didn't exist, we'd have actually explored. Okay. I see on the wall, we're talking about the myths that exist. I don't have enough to start saving for my retirement. Ooh, another myth. Did you know that individual pension plans out here, you can start from as little as 500? Let's debunk that. You have enough. You just need, now the slide that we are going to is on know your numbers. You just need to know your numbers and get to know, where will I get my 500 shillings? Where will I get my 1,000, my 5K to actually get started with retirement planning? And also I see, 1 minute. Somebody advised me that it is better to invest in money market funds for a period of time so as to benefit from the compounding effect before investing in a pension fund. Please advise. Christine, we will get to see, and we'll get to understand that individual pension plans are compounding funds. They actually compound year on year. And for all those who are attending this masterclass, I will share with you a pension projection guide after the class, we'll send it out to you so that you're even able to project. If I'm putting in 5K into my pension plan for X number of years, what will this grow into? So yes, Christine, your pension plan, just like the MMF, actually compounds over the years. So let's debunk that as a myth. Okay, Angela says, as long as I have built a home, I am set for retirement. Oh, Angela, I get you, I know. But even with that home, there is still food that is needed. But even for this, what I would say is, first, look at what is your lifestyle. First, paint a picture of the lifestyle you want. Because as we said, retirement is not about age. Retirement is about lifestyle, okay? So maybe one person may be very comfortable just staying in the house, but for me, I aspire to travel, okay? My retirement years probably will also involve a lot of charity work, okay? So I need to work towards that. So there needs to be more than just the home. There needs to be passive income flowing in so that you're able to afford yourself a good medical cover. You're able to afford yourself good food and so on, okay? And Simon says, Nahi economy. We'll cross the bridge when we get to that river. No, we need to prioritize. Anytime you are saving for your retirement, look at it as you're removing money from one pocket into your other pocket, but that money that you're putting into that other pocket is to take care of the older you. Because in another 20 years, in another 30 years, you will encounter an older Simon who may not have the stamina that you have right now, yakutafuta, okay? So always remember, saving into your retirement or investing into your retirement journey is actually an investment for the older you, okay? So now, let's go into what we mean by know your numbers, okay? Because I want us to discuss the importance of a financial health check, okay? And the goal here, when we talk of knowing your numbers, the goal here is all about clarity, okay? So how many of us, and you could please engage on the chat, how many of us, Christine saying AKA Borrow High, how many of us in this class, how many of us actually stick to a budget month on month? Okay, I'm keen to see that on the chart or on the wall. Please tell us, do you actually know your numbers? This week, I had a retirement planning needs analysis session with an amazing gentleman. This year is his foundational year. He's been through the ups and downs, and he had really hit a low, and he's rebuilding. He started the year very well, an amazing new job and all, and he's very keen, on getting his money matters right. And as we were discussing, I asked him the basics, because before we even talk about retirement planning, like, let me just understand what your money habits are like. Do you have a budget? And he told me he doesn't have it written down, but he was telling me, I can tell you how much I pay for my utilities. I know how much is electricity. I know how much is this. And I was asking him, so how much could you put into this, maybe into retirement planning? And he's like, I'd have to sit down and that's it. I think that was actually the point of even, that conversation before we even start to aspire, to investments. You need clarity on what your numbers look like, okay? So how much income is coming into your household, okay? And also how much is going out and where is it going to? What are you assigning your money to? Okay, is it, do you have like a 10% going to your Glovo and your Uber Eats? Okay, because yet you could, maybe because of maybe laziness or not actually realizing just how much, because on weekends you're ordering in and so on, yet you could even just take a few minutes and you cook, for the whole week. Okay, so what I mean here by knowing your numbers, your financial landscape basically is like a map, okay? And for you to be able like to navigate, okay, your finances, you need to be very clear, okay? Just 1 minute, let me admit a few people into the class. I know a lot of us underestimate the necessity of this initial step when it comes to financial planning, but you really need to get your money habits right. The foundation of your money journey. It needs to start from the basics, from tracking your expenses, to now doing a budget. I've seen George Muga saying, yes, I make a budget, sticking to it is another story. We need to get to that point. I'm happy that this conversation is happening in January, okay? So new year, Biumbe Vipia, Cindy. Yes, so we need to go into this new year saying, yes, I have made my budget and I am going to stick to it. It may pain you when you're getting started, but trust me, you will get to reap rewards. Okay. I find budgeting as a very, if I may say, like emotional and psychological experience in a way. Budgeting can just give you a lot of stress. Okay. But I like to say, don't look at budgeting as a punishment. Okay, look at budgeting as a way of actually knowing, like as a tool to help you assess your current financial situation. Because once you have a budget, once you know where every single coin is going to, now you're able to know how much can I commit to my retirement planning journey. Okay, maybe how much could go into a pension plan. Okay, how much can I put maybe in investments? I probably want to try my hands into stocks. I still have enough time. My risk appetite is also, maybe I have a high risk appetite and so on. But you can only make such decisions once there is clarity when it comes to your numbers. I see Greg saying, I started budgeting last year and have stuck to it. Expense tracking has also been quite revealing. That is true, Greg. When we finally are able to fight our fears, especially on the expense tracking, okay? Once you are able to do a proper expense tracking in some 3 or so months, you are able to sit down and come up with a very practical budget, okay? So let's now get practical about knowing our numbers, okay? Some common tools, it could include budgeting apps. And I'm keen to know, like, Greg, what kind of budgeting app are you using, for this? Is it Excel? Is it maybe an app from Play Store that even other attendees could probably go? What would you recommend as a budgeting app? Okay. And even for when you are doing your expense tracking, what expense tracker were you using? Was it just a notebook? Was it a finance journal, or was it online? Please share with us. Okay, I see Brenda saying she can't hear anything. Brenda, could it be maybe an issue on your gadget? Because the conversation is going quite well, and I think everyone else is following the class. Okay, so please share with us, for those who are already using our tools, okay, for assessing financial status, please share with us what tools you are currently using, okay? And as we said, the goal here when it comes to using, when it comes to knowing your numbers, the goal here is clarity, because by knowing your numbers, you gain a clearer picture of your financial strengths, and also, okay, you gain a clearer picture of your financial strengths and even your weaknesses, okay? So clarity is the foundation for setting achievable retirement goals and crafting a plan that suits your unique circumstances, okay? Because once you know your numbers, once you know, quote unquote, what's my disposable income, okay? Once you know how much can I direct maybe towards my retirement planning, only then, Are you able now to get started? Otherwise, this month you'll decide I can do 20K, then by when? By mid-month, by mid-February, you're even out of fare to go to work. Okay, so we need actually to start by having clarity on our numbers. So I encourage each one of us, okay, in this masterclass to take action. Okay, so it might be your first time, that it might be the very first time that you're looking at your financial situation comprehensively. Okay, and that's a powerful step towards securing your future. Okay, so after today, it's my hope that for those of us maybe who are struggling with budgeting, I see Simon Bugwa saying budgeting has been a roller coaster ride. I'm neither here nor there. So, Simon, today I hope it will be your first step. This is like an affirmation just for your future. Okay. Yes, budgeting can be tough, but we are tougher. Okay. We can keep being hit, you keep falling down, but let's keep standing up. Let's keep getting back on our feet and deciding, I'll give it another try. Yesterday, I also had another retirement planning engagement, and this amazing lady, very vibrant lady, she told me that she will give budgeting another try this year, but over the past 2 years, and especially because of inflation, she had been like unable to do budgeting because it would really drain her, And yesterday we were discussing various ways on, the various ways that she can also increase her income, like her sources of income. And she was really open. Like, she's such a talent. She's probably the most vibrant person I've met in a long time, and she even left here pondering on probably blogging on YouTube, sharing her talents and so on. And she's an amazing storyteller. So, and I think that's what, when you get back to budgeting, it actually maybe shows you that whatever income you have, there isn't maybe much room of savings. And now from there, you can now start thinking, so maybe the solution is actually not to cut down on what I'm doing, but actually to look for more sources of income. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. And this slide is on goal setting for a secure retirement. Okay. And before we go to this slide, I see we have shared George Mugasey. I set a budget this month, tracked it from the second week, but it's gone south. That's under budgeting. Okay. I see Greg Wanjama saying the Money Manager app can be used for budgeting. Okay. Linda saying Excel was challenged to use the Money Manager app. Okay. And then Greg saying, I started tracking on Excel, but it became very hard. I switched to an app called Money Manager on Play Store. There you go, guys. There is an app called Money Manager. It's probably worth, a look. Okay. And then you get to see, oh, Greg has even shared the link, that you can use to download the app. Okay. And that's what I love about this class. Okay. It's not just about me teaching. It's about, we all have something to share with each other. We get to learn from each other. So thank you very much for that, Greg. Yes. Now, let's get to look at goal setting for a secure retirement. Okay. So how do we set financial goals for retirement? Okay. So when it comes to retirement planning, having well-defined goals is like plotting, like it's like having a map, and then you plot your coordinates on your journey or on that map. Okay, so by having SMART goals, which is what we'll be looking at today, it helps you, or it provides you with direction. It gives you purpose and even a sense of achievement as you progress towards your ideal retirement. Okay. And I repeat again, we said retirement is not an age, is not a number. Okay, yeah, it's not age, okay? It's actually about lifestyle, okay? So even as we go through this class, please keep pondering, what is that ideal retirement looking like for you, okay? Because then I want, even after this masterclass, for you to set smart goals that now you can pursue towards now your ideal retirement. Okay, and I know we've heard of SMART goals everywhere. I'm sure even pretty much, you know, SMART, the acronym SMART when it comes to retirement planning. But the acronym SMART when it comes to goal setting. But today I want us to narrow in on what SMART now looks like when it comes to retirement planning. Okay, so when you think of the S in the SMART, okay, when it comes to your retirement planning goals, make sure that your goals are specific, okay? And the beauty with this, you know, by making your goals specific, this will help you define exactly what you want to achieve. And as we said, retirement is very personal. So I'm sure all of us, our retirement, our ideal retirement is very different, okay? But then make sure that the S in your SMART goals stands for specific. Make sure that your goals are very specific, and this will help you define exactly what you want to achieve. Okay, let me admit a few people into the class. And on M, okay, in the acronym, make sure that your goals are measurable, okay? Because then you are able to track the progress, okay? And this is why I was even saying, I will get to send you a free pension projection guide, okay? So that you're able to know, okay, if I am doing X per month for this number of years, you know, your goal needs to be something that you can measure, okay? So that you are able to know, am I on track? Am I falling behind? etc. Okay. Now the A in SMART, when it comes to retirement planning, make sure that your goals are achievable. Your goals really need to, one, they need to be feasible, okay? And they need to be realistic, okay? Um, and when we talk of realistic, okay, if you probably want what? To have a retirement, you know, a pension fund of 30 million shillings or of, you know, 50 million or 100 million in your pension, yet you're maybe putting in 10,000 and you're already well into your 40s. Do you get? There may be sort of like a disconnect, okay? So at the end of the day, the journey that we are embarking on, we need to ensure that the goals that we are setting for our retirement are actually achievable goals. Okay, then the R in this, okay, without paying attention to the diagram on the left-hand corner, the R, I put it as relevant goals. Okay, make sure that your goals align with your broader financial aspirations. Okay, make them relevant to the journey or to where, you know, to the destination that we are heading to when it comes to retirement. And lastly, make sure that your goals are time bound, okay? Work with, like, maybe my ideal retirement is 55. I'm currently 37. So I have some 28 years. Is it 28? No, okay. 18. Now see, no, pala nimepatikana. So I have 17 years to go. Oh my God, let me tell you guys, I think my 30s have really rushed. I can't tell where my 30s have gone to. And I know 40s is just, you know, beckoning. It's just here in the horizon. So, and that tells you, you know, so at 37, okay, when I look at how much I've been able to accumulate so far, in terms maybe in my pension fund, I'm able now to start with that and also look how much am I committing into this fund month on month, okay? So I see Rachel moderating in the chat and saying, welcome to the Retirement Planning Masterclass. you're looking at goal setting. Thank you very much for that, Rachel. And karibuni to the class for Hema and Charles. Yes, we admit them. Welcome to the class. And thank you to everyone. My sincere gratitude to everyone who's joined this masterclass. It's been a mind-blowing experience. We had so many people book their seat in the class, and so far we are at 51 participants. It's just amazing. Thank you so much for your time. So now ensure that, once you have set smart goals that speak, that speak to your circumstances, that speak to your dreams, okay? Let's see, what would be a smart retirement goal that one can have, okay? So, one goal that I can have, I could say that I want an annuity, maybe in retirement, that will pay me what 200,000 shillings month on month as one of my income streams. Okay, and now working behind, I understand that an annuity pays me approximately, very rough approximation, about 1% of my pension, of my principal amount every month. Okay, so I could start by now working backwards and seeing how do I ensure that my pension fund by the age of 55 is actually at 20 million shillings, because then now I can take that lump sum pension benefit and use it now to purchase now an annuity. Okay, so I would ensure that, one, I understand that my goal is very specific. I am going for a pension accumulation of 20 million shillings. Okay, it's also measurable. I will have my pension projection guide, and I will crunch my numbers and know if maybe my pension is, give or take, maybe 6 million shillings. I know I have a deficit of 14. How do I build that? And I will also factor in the compounding effect. I will also factor in even inflation, because if my aspiration is to have a 200K sum from that annuity in another 18 years, I do understand that 200K, the feeling of 200K right now will be very different from a feeling of 200K in another 18 years to come. Okay? I will also ensure that this goal is achievable. So I'll sit down, I'll look at the numbers that I need to contribute month on month, to hit that, and ensure that I look at my budget and I get to know, where will I get this number? Okay, will I need maybe to cancel out a little bit of my Uber Eats, or do I need to supplement my income? Okay, and look for another income stream, etc. Okay, I will also ensure that, I'll sit down and ask myself, is this a relevant goal? Does it fall in line with that ideal retirement? And lastly, I'll ensure it's time bound. I will ensure that I can achieve this over the next 18 years. Okay, so just in a nutshell, make sure that the goals that you are setting for your retirement are smart. Okay, and by the way, don't be afraid to dream big. Personally, when I think of my retirement, I think I just see myself living in a cruise ship. So help me God. Like I also want to live life, so I want to be Indian, and every time I go down to the coast and you interact like with the older, tourists coming into the country, and they could be in a hotel down there, for 2 weeks, even a month, just enjoying life. And sometimes I wish for that piece of lifestyle, even for myself in my older age. I want to be able to afford such a lifestyle for myself in my retirement. Okay, so I see Greg saying, no, Stella, let's start. Let's start with Stella. Please explain an annuity and how they work. Yes, Stella, that is right ahead. We'll get to discuss annuities and income drawdowns. I see Rachel and Osborne. Okay, there. I also see Greg saying the math sounds very complicated. No, it's not complicated, Greg. Sometimes it just needs you to have a sit down with someone. It could be over a cup of coffee. Sit down with a financial advisor. Most of this, like for example, at my agency or as Mama Bima, I do not charge for needs analysis consultation. It's a time for us to sit down and just figure out your retirement planning journey. And it's for free. So it's all about, it's up to you just to make time, just make time. Let's sit down, let's crunch the numbers together, and you will be amazed. And let's just make them realistic. Okay, if liquidity improves over time, we can always keep growing the numbers. But for now, let's start Pale Tupo. Okay, I see Osborne saying, Charlene, comment on the risk of having all your pension savings in one fund. Should one diversify their pension savings as we do other investments? Okay, we will get, risk of pension savings. We will get actually to look at, you'll get actually to realize that we don't have a precedent where Kenyans have ever lost money in an RBA regulated fund. Okay, but we'll also get to look at maybe what are the security measures around that. So thank you for that. That was Osborne. I'll get to comment on that towards the end of this masterclass. Yes, and Kenna and Kenza, yes, we will have a recording. Yes, we are currently recording this session, so we'll get to share the recording after the class. Wanjor, he's saying the distance between your dream and reality is what's called discipline. Thank you so much for that. That is profound, as George Buga says there. So now I want us to move. Let me see. Let's move to our next slide. And this is a very exciting chapter for me because now we get to look at the magic, let's call it the magic of compounding interest in your retirement planning journey. And we are starting with a quote from Albert Einstein. Okay, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. Now, my question is, and I really want you to engage me on the wall. Are you earning compound interest or are you currently paying? So are you earning compound interest or are you paying compound interest? No, sorry, are you paying for not knowing about compound interest? Yes, and I want us to replay this video a little bit, please. It's a reel from my IG page, and I'll stop it where there are numbers. I want us to see the difference between a 25-year-old starting their retirement journey, an individual starting their retirement journey at 25, another one starting at 35, and another one starting at 45, with their retirement age goal being 60, to retire at 60, and investing 10,000 monthly into an individual pension plan with a 10% return. So we want to see what will this look like for these three individuals. And there you go. So I've paused the screen because imagine investing just 10K for, up to the age of 60, a 25-year-old in the same fund giving 10% net return would have an accumulated pension benefit of 33.9 million shillings. Okay, so that's about 34 million. A 35-year-old, who invests over the next 25 years up to the age of 60 in the same fund giving 10% return would have a pension benefit of 12.3 million shillings. I hope you're shaking your head and trying to get these numbers in. And a 45-year-old investing over the next 15 years up to the age of 60 would actually, in the same fund, investing the same amount of money, would have a pension of 3.9 million shillings, about 4 million shillings. Okay? And for all the young ones, the ones who say, I'm too young, it's still too young to think about retirement, this is what you are losing out on. Okay? Sometimes I wish I knew, I wish I knew these things when I was much younger, in my 20s. I wish, I knew that even my 2,000 shillings, my 3K, my 5K would make a huge difference. Yes, right now I can do way more, but how I wish that even in my 20s, I was doing 2,000, 3,000, and so on. Okay. So I see Douglas saying both, but I wish I wasn't paying compound interest. Okay. And by paying, what we mean by paying is you losing out on the opportunity, okay, that otherwise you would have taken up by taking advantage of what compound interest can do for you. Okay. So the goal here is if you want your retirement, benefits to give you like maximum, to be optimized, you need to start early. You need to start your retirement planning journey early. Okay. Now, let's go to the next slide on how to choose the right retirement fund. Okay. And I will be so also asking about the risk that's probably posed to investors, to people who are doing their retirement planning journey, freedom seekers, in having your retirement benefit, say, with one either insurance company. As you're aware, most IPPs or most individual pension plans are housed within, an insurance company, especially the life insurance department of that insurance company. Okay. But as we start here, when it comes to choosing the right retirement fund, I want us to look at what are our options when it comes to retirement planning. Number one, you can either start planning for your retirement specifically, either using an employer-provided pension. And I'm keen to know on the chat, please tell us, how many of us maybe are enjoying an employer-provided pension? And on the other hand, how many of us are maybe now enjoying an individual pension plan where you have literally set one up for yourself? You've gone and purchased in an individual capacity. Let's see, employer provided, then individual pension plan. And also let's get to see how many of us are yet to get started with even a pension plan. From the data I got from those who booked a seat in this masterclass, we had, it was a balance of 50-50, out of the 197 people who booked, about 100 were already saving through pension, while about 97 were not saving through pension. Okay, so let us get to see the numbers in the chat. So you have those two options, either using an employer-provided pension or an individual pension plan. And of course, we also know that there's also the option of using the government, basically, what we would call NSSF, basically, the government provided pension, not government provided, like the NSSF. Just NSSF, but here we are not today's discussion, we are not narrowing in on NSSF. Today we will be mainly looking at the individual pension plan and just touching a little bit on the employer provided pension. Okay. But as you know, maybe I could touch just a little on NSSF. When it comes to NSSF, you find that contribution is usually mandatory for employers and employees. So you find that for most Kenyans who are either in the gig economy, they don't subscribe to NSSF. They don't make any contributions into the NSSF. Okay. So when it comes to choosing the right depend on where you work, or you have to specifically ask for it. So Pamoka, this is really dependent on, you know, your employer. It's the employer who decides if they are going to provide pension as a loyalty benefit or as a benefit to their employees. Okay, but it doesn't hurt to ask. It's actually a good way of also negotiating for your benefits as you are, you know, joining a company or so. It's always good to check, is there a possibility of you also contributing into my retirement fund? Okay, and if there isn't one, then that now leaves you with, from a point where you know it's your sole duty to do that for yourself. Okay, so what I want us to look at four key things that you can look at to help you choose the right retirement fund. Okay, number one, okay, the security or stability of the insurance company where your IPP is housed. Please, when it comes to pension, you want to play it safe. Please, when it comes to pension, I cannot underscore this. You want to ensure that you are not just chasing, you know, performance. There has to be a balance. There needs to be security. If I am 38, okay, or 37, sorry. So if I'm 37 and I want to retire at 55 and possibly still be blessed with a few bonus years, maybe up to about 70 something, I want to partner with a company that when I look at them, I feel that the security, the stability, this company could be there at that time, you know. So I always go for a stable life insurance underwriter because, as we said, your IPP is housed within the life insurance, okay, of an insurance company. So you will notice there's always a correlation, like between the best IPP schemes. Yeah, they tend to be managed and distributed by the top life underwriters in the country. So one of the considerations that you can make when choosing your IPP is how secure or how stable is this company. So also longevity of brand. You know, when you come to the realization that within Kenya, there's a company that literally distributes the best pension, the best performing pension, and they have been in existence for 176 years. Okay, so when you look at such heritage, okay, it, you know, it can help you better understand, you know, like, is this a company, like, is this the ideal company that I want to entrust with my pension benefits? Also, you need to look at the performance and the rate of return that you are getting. Okay, because it's one thing now to just say, I'm looking for security, stability within our market. And I will get to share this with you, the statistics over the past years on the performance of the top IPPs in the market. And you will notice there's a giant underwriter. They're like a big Pan-African name, but over the past 3 years, in 2020, they gave a return of 2%. In 2021, a return of 4%. In 2022, a return of 2%. Like, my Lord, you are losing money. Your pension, like, literally, you are losing your money. You need to ensure that the return that you are getting is positive post-inflation. Okay? So always ask yourself, what is my take home? Okay? Is my fund growing at a higher rate than the prevalent inflation rate in the country? Because unless you are able to have that, then in the long term, you know that whatever you are putting into that fund will not be sufficient to cater for you in the long run. So ensure that even as you look for security and stability, even as you look for longevity of brand, the performance of that fund, okay, needs to make sense, and the return should at least be positive post-inflation. And lastly, look at the minimum guaranteed return that IPP scheme is giving you. And one thing that you notice with the IPP schemes that are available in the market, there are some that are guaranteed and some that are not. And there are some that have a higher guaranteed rate of return than others. Okay, on average, I find 5% guaranteed rate of return is a good place to start with, because what that means is, come rain, come sunshine, even in very harsh economic seasons and investment environments, your IPP will not give you a return less than 5%. Okay, so it's always good to ask yourself, and for those of us who actually have pension plans, that are running, ask yourself, what is the guaranteed rate return that I'm currently enjoying with my IPP? I've been, just coming across a lot of disgruntled people, because once you talk during maybe retirement planning needs analysis, and they go, and one of the challenges I give people is, for the next session, please come with your pension statement. Okay, and I think that's usually a very revealing moment when you go either to your portal for your administrator or your fund manager or the insurance company, and you get your your statement, and you realize that over the past 3 years, you've actually been making 2%, or you've even been getting negative return. I think it's criminal that you could be having a pension plan, you are making negative return, and you are clueless about that. I mean, it talks about that we have to do a complete shift, a complete turnaround. We have to be very keen on the journey that we are embarking on when it comes to retirement planning. And your statement, your pension statement, should not be something that you are only given once a year. You need to be one with an underwriter where you can literally access your pension statement in real time, where you can even send a contribution, you get onto your phone, get into your statement, and it reflects. We need to be those people who are highly alert, highly engaged with their retirement planning journey. Okay, so those are some of the 4 key considerations that I would encourage you to pay attention to when choosing a retirement partner, okay, an IPP partner. So on this screen, I will get to share this with you after the class. This is just a 3-year historical performance of the top funds in the market. So if you already have an IPP, I will want you to look and see, how does my IPP compare? Okay, how does my IPP compare with the rest of the market? Okay, so let's rush through this. And as we talk about retirement planning, I want us to say, is this your current situation? Because I want you to take note of this, this slide. Okay, you can see in a year maybe where one provider is giving 10.75, maybe another one is giving 12%. You still do have, schemes that are giving 7%, okay? Some that are giving 8%, others that are giving 2%, okay? So now in this next slide, I want us to ask ourselves, are we Mbithi or are we Nyambura? Okay, because look at this, Mbithi and Nyambura, 25-year-olds, they start planning for their retirement planning. They contribute 10,000 per month. So Mbithi is in a scheme that is giving him 7% return annually, and Nyambura is taking home 10% net return. Okay, at the age of 60, Mbithi will have a retirement benefit of 17.1 million. Remember, these two, same age, started at the same time, made the same commitment into their pension plan, and Nyambura will have 33.9 million. 33.9, guys, is actually 34 million shillings. Please tell me, how did Nyambura end up having double what Mbithi has at retirement? And I think it speaks to that difference of 3%, that consistent 3% difference. So when we share the performance of the IPPs, I want you to sit down and ask yourself, am I Mbithi or am I Nyambura? And if you're Mbithi, then how can you aspire to get to where Nyambura is, okay? To change your situation. Okay. So now I know from the feedback you gave me when you did the masterclass questionnaire, a lot of you wanted to know the difference. They wanted to understand annuities better and an income drawdown. And at this point, because once you save through your pension, then the question begs, so yes, I saved through my pension, then when I retire, then what? Am I given this pension in cash or what, you know? And even though we will not get an opportunity to go into investment strategies, okay, I need to mention this. As you do your retirement planning, please also ensure that you still continue. Retirement planning is not just done in one linear way. At a pension peke yake. So pension, the individual pension plan or your employer provided pension, or even a hybrid of both, because there are people who enjoy employer provided pensions and still go out of their way and contribute through IPPs. Okay, so pension products are key in your retirement planning journey. But this does not mean that you stop all your other wealth building, all these other vehicles that could help you in your wealth building journey. Okay, so even as you pursue retirement planning through pension, please also remember you still need to do your equities and your stocks. You still need to do your real estate. You still need to do, if you're buying your treasury bills, still go ahead, do your money market funds. At the end of the day, you still want to build a very balanced, to have a very balanced financial portfolio. You need to build wealth. Okay. Today, we are just narrowing in on me, the retired me. Okay. And what we want to ensure is the steps that you take through your pension, okay, can help you get to a point where you have enough for yourself in retirement, so that even if you have built a lot of wealth, so you have enough income coming from your annuity or your income drawdown, but at the same time, you have money in bonds and there's a passive income coming from there. But you also know that this bond, when I'm finally gone, this is an inheritance plan for the children. You also have your protection plan, such as a whole life cover. And you know that at the point at whichever I go, this is an inheritance plan for my children. So retirement planning, is one of the components of building wealth, okay? But it is building wealth for the older you, okay? So that's why today we are mainly putting a spotlight on the pension. So the question begs, so you save all this money in the pension products, then what happens at retirement? One of the most tragic things that I come across at the point of retirement is a lot of clients trying to access their pension benefits in cash. Okay, as you know, if you are saving through a pension fund, okay, remember with your individual pension plan, you can either have a pension or provident fund. Okay, and as you know, a pension plan, the pension plan, 1/3 of your retirement benefits can be accessed in cash, but the remaining 2/3 must be accessed in either an annuity or an income drawdown. So we are here to learn what are these two things called annuities or income drawdowns. On the other hand, with the provident fund, you can actually access your entire benefit in cash. Okay, but we are here to ask ourselves, is that a smart move? Is it smart to access? Have you ever sat down and considered the tax implications? Because did you know that you stand to even lose as much as 30% of the money that you're accessing in cash from your pension benefits? 30%. KRA can tax you as much as 30%. So for people who have very sizable pension benefits, that you stand to really lose a lot. Okay, so how can we ensure that we protect ourselves? So what should we be working towards? What is the post-retirement option for us through this pension product? So number one, we have an annuity. Okay, and basically an annuity is a contract. It's an insurance product. Okay, where you sign up a contract with an insurance company, give them, you literally trade in your pension product, your pension benefits, and they guarantee you a lifetime income. Okay, so I retire at 55, I buy an annuity, I live up to 95, and I get an income every single month. I know that on the 25th of every month, there is a salary that comes into my account. Okay, so now that is an annuity. So always remember, an annuity is actually an insurance product. And what you notice when it comes to annuities, okay, one beauty of annuities is, number one, you can even add your spouse to your annuity. Can you imagine that? You can take what you call a joint life annuity, where hata ukitangulia, if you pass on before your spouse, and let's say you are receiving 200K per month, maybe you purchase that annuity at 55, you live up to 75, okay, or 80, and your spouse survives you, okay, is still there, the insurance company still continues to pay that 200K to your spouse for their lifetime. Annuities are one of the most solid ways of protecting yourself against old age poverty. Okay. And other than annuities, we also have now an investment option that one can use, that especially for people, some people are not too crazy about annuities, and I'll tell you why. So annuities have what we call a guaranteed period. Okay. So when you're purchasing an annuity, you get to choose the period of guarantee that you want. So you could go maybe for the maximum, which is 20 years. So if I buy my annuity at the age of 50, it means I'm guaranteed these payments, you get, until 70. But as long as I'm alive, the annuity will pay for as long as I live. Okay. But some people feel that, so if I pass on now at 71 or at 72, there's literally nothing that goes maybe to my children as an inheritance. But when you think about that statement, I want you to think about it keenly. The reason why we feel the pressure of wanting our retirement benefits to be an inheritance for our children is probably because we never did a proper investment strategy of building wealth. Okay, literally, the wealth that you build during your income earning years is what you're depending on for retirement, is also what you're depending on for inheritance planning. That is why we need to have a very diversified and comprehensive investment strategy. Okay, you need to know that what I am building through my pension, this is specifically for me. One of the most amazing clients I ever came across, annuitants, when I was helping him buy an annuity, was a professor. He was finally retiring from KU, and when now we were discussing the different options, and I was asking him how much guarantee period he needs, and he told me he didn't want a guaranteed period. He told me 0 years, and I was shocked. He was taking a joint annuity with a wife, and he told me he has sorted his kids. Like they're okay. He has built wealth left, right, center. The pension yake na bibi yake. I hope we can get to that level of confidence where, by the time you're even getting to your retirement, whatever I built within my retirement, this one I can let it go into now taking care of me in my old age. Okay. But also one thing worth noting, even if it's not a joint life annuity, if say you take a 20-year guarantee period in your annuity, and God forbid you pass on year 10, okay, it does not mean that the remaining benefit just goes like that. What happens is, if you still had 10 years in that guarantee period, if they were paying you 200K per month, they will look at how much is this? How much does this translate to annually? That is 2.4 million annually, okay? Then for the remaining 10 years, they will go ahead and pay your next of kin 24 million shillings in a lump sum, and the annuity now ends. Okay? The only time an annuity ceases and does not pay any lump sum is if you have already exhausted your guarantee period. Something else to note with annuities is that by year 8 of receiving your annuity, you'll have depleted actually the principal amount that you give to the insurance company. It's always good to calculate that. If you're getting approximately 1% of the amount that you put of their pension, that already tells you by year 8 you've done what? About 96%. You've literally eaten the entire pension benefit. Anything after year 8 ni kama marupurupu, by the way. And remember, even if you lived for another 40 years after retirement, that annuity would still pay month-on-month income to you. Okay, so now let's look at the income drawdown. So now an income drawdown is the investment option, okay, of now what you stand to purchase using your pension. Okay, so it allows a retiree to reinvest the accumulated pension benefits through a registered, through a fund that's registered by RBA, and it is set up for the purpose of paying regular pensions to retirees. Okay, so one reason that would make me recommend what we call now an IDD to a client is there are clients who, by the time they retire, have built very sizable pension benefits. You are talking, last year I saw a gentleman in the industry sell a post-retirement product of 199 million shillings. There is a retiree who had built their pension to 199 million shillings. Please put that in perspective. So in such a case, if I were to encounter such a client, we would mainly be talking about an IDD as possibly their post-retirement solution as opposed to an annuity, because with 199 million, basically what you do with an income drawdown is you quote unquote draw down, or you withdraw a percentage of your fund every year or every month. Okay, so you can withdraw, maybe let's say every year you're doing like an 8% drawdown. So you can imagine if you have like a 200 million or even a 100 million pension, and you're just drawing down 8%, that's what, if 100 million, that's 8 million. It may still be sufficient. And for people with such sizable pension benefits, you also find they have other sources of passive income. You find they have maybe rentals that are bringing income. They have bonds, that are also paying them through coupons. So in such a scenario, this client does not have to quote unquote sacrifice that entire huge estate to an annuity, because the beauty with an income drawdown is that it runs for 10 years. And every 10 years, you can either renew it. Okay, so you can, after 10 years, you can either decide not to buy an annuity or just renew it into another income drawdown, or even access the money in cash. Okay, so income drawdowns in a way can really help you secure that larger estate to actually end up also being an inheritance. So for clients who might see leaning towards income drawdowns, it's usually advised from a point of having very sizable pension benefits and feeling that they can just draw down a little amount, because you can imagine if you have 100 million and you're withdrawing 8%, okay, and your fund is invested and your fund manager is giving you, let's say, 10% return annually, this already tells you that your 100 million is actually growing, because you only withdrew 8% and they put in 10% into that fund, meaning you have a net growth of 2% into that income drawdown year on year. So an income drawdown, you even have a chance of eventually having a much bigger pension payout, maybe to your loved ones once you exit, than what you started with from the word go. Okay, so now time is not on our side. So let's see how we can build our retirement nest egg. Okay, how do we then ensure that we get to build an ample or a sizable retirement nest egg? Okay, so one, you need to clearly define your retirement goals. Okay, And by that, we said we need to start from a point of asking ourselves, what is my ideal retirement lifestyle? What does that look like? Okay. What activities do I want to be doing in my old age or in my retirement? Okay. Understand your goals. Understanding these goals will help guide you in making your financial decisions. Number two, you need to assess your current financial situation. We said it, know your numbers. Now, from knowing your numbers, it will give you enough clarity to know how much can I put or how much can I commit into this retirement planning tool, okay? Then choose the right retirement fund. We've already discussed this. So your IPP, you now know what are some of the factors that you could be looking at, or just call even your preferred financial advisor. Okay, your preferred insurance agent, sit down with them, let them guide you, like get to look now between these top 5 in the market, you know, who do you feel best meets these four like key sort of like, sorry about that, these 4 key things that I'm looking out for when choosing out an IPP provider. Also look at when building your retirement nest egg, create a budget and set a realistic savings target, okay? Still on the same, know your numbers and make your goal realistic, okay? Automate your contributions, okay? And this is where, you know, with retirement planning, there's a question that kept coming up as you were signing up for the class, and you kept asking, so what happens if I don't contribute any money into my pension plan? Will I lose my pension? No, pension is not insurance. This is not a life insurance product, okay? The only penalty you will get for not contributing into your pension is the older you will be poorer. That's the only penalty. It is you. You're just mistreating yourself, if you can call it that way. But you will not lose your pension. You will not be penalized for not doing, maybe keeping up with your month-on-month contributions. But to ensure that this does not happen, automate your contributions, put a standing order, get your employer to actually do a checkoff into your pension, okay? Monitor and also adjust the pension accordingly, okay? So keep checking. It's sad. I find it very sad when I ask maybe someone whom we are doing needs analysis with, and they tell me, and they don't even know what their figures are. They don't know where their pension is. This week, one of my clients realized that she left Corp Bank 5 years ago. Her pension was at about 6 million, thereabout, and it is still at 6 point something. And we did a projection with her. If she had been in a fund that was giving her 10% net return over the past 5 years with the same pension and with the factors of compounding, she would actually be at 9 point something. She'd be close to 10 million. Okay, so I hope that is not what is happening. She came to realize when she finally got her statements that for the past 3 years, her fund has actually been losing money. And I hope you do realize that is possible when you're no longer contributing, when you just have a lump sum and you're not contributing into that fund month on month, and your fund manager is making a negative return, there is a possibility, not even there's a possibility, you will be losing money. Like you'll be at 6 million and you go and find you're at 5.9 million. I do pray and hope that that's not us. We need to monitor our retirement fund regularly, okay? So now let me take a look. Yes, and Stella is saying, I can confirm you don't have to contribute into your IPP when you're not able to, it just continues to grow. Please confirm that IDD, you can still top up the fund during retirement, which continues to earn interest. Is this an advantage compared to annuity? So Douglas, what do you mean by top up? Please note, IDDs and annuities are bought through pension benefits, not cash money. And now that's the other game changer. I come across clients who are very affluent, but now they want to do their retirement planning at 60. So they want to buy an annuity. They want to buy an income drawdown. And they realize to purchase that product, they will be taxed up to about 30% of their principal amount, and they do a turnaround. Okay, they're an about turn and decide, let me just put my money maybe in bonds and so on. So I'm not sure what you mean by topping up. Are you talking of like removing money from a bank and topping it up into the IDD? And I see Christine. Christine, please confirm if we are clear. Okay, and I see, okay, yes, I see the reactions to the difference in the projections we had in the previous slides. Okay, so life after retirement. Let's consider what life after retirement looks like. Number one, please, let's try to secure post-retirement medical insurance. As you are planning for your retirement, identify like, how will I ensure that I still have medical insurance? A lot of us are, for lack of a better term, quote unquote, spoiled when we are working because our employers provide us, with very good insurances. I'm sure in this crowd, we have people who maybe even have international medical insurance. We have people who have medical insurance with some of the leading providers, Jubilee, APA, Old Mutual, Britam. So you are living your best life as it is right now. But what happens when you retire? And even those individuals who manage to buy their own personal medical insurance. So you just go to the hospital, you're like, just run the card. And then you retire and you realize that if you walk into Aga Khan, there's a possibility that every other visit, you're spending about 25,000 shillings out of pocket. And you literally see your savings walking out. Like you see all your savings being depleted. You need to plan for your post-retirement medical cover. There are different ways of doing this. We have started getting post-retirement medical solutions in the market. That is one way. I saw an actuary who's my husband's client actually take up an endowment policy dedicated, and he's dedicated to he's targeting a 5 million payout at retirement, specifically just for his medical cover and his wife's. Yeah? And the way he walked me through that was, if he invests this 5 million, it's once it matures, if the 5 million is even invested in an instrument giving him 10% net return, he will be having about, at the very least, 500K. You can imagine in like similar in the current prevailing environments, if he was to do like 15% in a bond, that would be about 750K every year. That would afford him a very, like a high end, if you can call it, a premium medical cover. Okay, so there is no, as we said, it's a very personalized journey. Sit with your financial advisor and get to see what will work for me. Okay, there are those who know they need that disciplined way of saving, so they may go for the endowment. And I loved how he separated the medical policy, like the medical savings, from his pension. Okay, because he, as I understand, he has a very good job where he works, and he's enjoying very good and sizable pension savings. Okay, something else. Life after retirement, access your retirement funds and use them wisely. So this is the point where you ask yourself, so at retirement, okay, will I be doing an IDD or will I be going for an annuity? And please let it be situation, like at that point, when maybe you're nearing retirement, a year or two. Okay, now sit with your financial advisor and start planning around that. You see, like right now, annuities, I would say, are the more popular products in the market. But I also feel there's a certain movement towards now IDDs. We're starting to get very experienced companies coming into the market and doing proper IDDs. In the past, income drawdowns tended to be very loss-making. So we had instances where clients would actually deplete even their savings, or their savings would really decrease over the 10-year period. So by the time it comes to renewing their income drawdown, they can barely, get a payout per month or an income per month that can sustain their lifestyle. But I'm starting to see IDD providers, who are giving, who are declaring rates of 12%, 12%, 10% annually. So if you are doing a safe drawdown of about 7%, 8%, then with such a IDD provider, you would still be on the safe side. Okay. So also be mindful of the tax implication of accessing retirement funds. And lastly, even in your retirement, please ensure a steady cash flow. So you've retired. This does not mean that now you don't have a budget that you are sticking to. So ensure even in retirement, you still know your numbers. Like you have something that is guiding you on, how you are spending your money. Okay, so continue to manage your investment portfolio to balance risk and return. Okay. Oh, there we have it. I was really running through that slide because I see time is really not on our side. My call to action, okay? Before maybe we take a few questions, I see that currently 3 minutes to our targeted time to end this call. But my call to action is when I asked how many of us, have a pension, it is now time for you to sit down and start thinking clearly about your retirement planning. It's never we agreed that one myth is that, oh, it's already too late, I cannot do this. No, let's debunk that, okay? At whichever age that you are embarking on this, just be confident enough to get started. Don't give up. It's time. If you're young, if time is on your side and you're the 25-year-old will end up with almost a 33 million pension benefits, get started today. And you don't have to start at 10,000 shillings. If what you can afford is 500, it's 2,000, get started there, remain consistent. You saw the power of compounding interest. Okay. You also saw the difference between the 7% and the 10%, where Nyambura in 35 years ends up with double the pension benefit of what BD has. Okay. So let's be diligent in our retirement planning. Open that individual pension plan. Go to your HR and ask for your pension statement so that you can even ask the tough questions. If you see that your employer provided scheme is giving you maybe net return, that is the time to start going to the trustees and asking them, are you really looking out for our welfare? And why are we still stuck with this, pension provider who's giving us net return, yet it's evident in the market that there are pension schemes giving as high as 10%, okay? And yes, so in that case, what I mean is optimize, ensure that your pension benefits are in a pension fund that is optimized. Don't get 2% when the market has 10%. Even as we balance, let's strike that balance between the stability of brand, the longevity of brand, and also let's also be keen on how are my returns optimized. Okay, so there you have it. Now I will be Stella asking, please give us a breakdown of IDD providers and their rate of return. So now, Stella, I always, I never mention per se providers by name, but we can pick this up offline, like on email. I'll be able to share that with you. And the reason is I'm an independent financial advisor. I work across the market. So I don't, on my social media platforms and on such public platforms, wasiegemei any one company. But when we sit down with you, when it's time for advisory or when I'm writing you on email, I'm able now to make, to give you my top pick out of whoever is providing. And that kind of advisory, it comes with historical. So it's not something I just picked from my head. I'm able to show you that these are the existing IDDs in the market. These have been the rates of return they've been giving. And I feel the one that would give you maybe most value if you're purchasing an IDD now would be company X. So hopefully we can pick that up on like offline. So Douglas asked, can one have more than one IPP? Yes, Douglas, it's possible. We can have more than one IPP. But sometimes I ask, why have more than one? Why not consolidate? Okay, maybe you can respond that, because as long as you have put like you factored in all those things we talked about on how to settle for a good pension provider, why not be housed in one place? Why not consolidate? So that's the other thing. And I forgot that in my call to action. If maybe you have moved from one employer to another and you left, the pension benefits in KCB Bank, and they are there getting X%, with maybe the employer provided scheme, please open an IPP and consolidate all your benefits. Even if you've left maybe 3 different employers, you can consolidate your pension in one high-performing pension plan, IPP. Okay? Simon Bogwa. Simon, yes, let's pick up this conversation after this. I would be very open to that. Kathy will drop you, or Rachel will drop you my number. But my number is also usually on social media. But that's those are my direct numbers. Call me, send me a WhatsApp. We can always have a cup of coffee and discuss some more. Let me see what other question we may have here. So Wanjohi is asking, what's the best recommended percentage contribution on gross income for retirement planning? Wanjohi, I still see a lot of people saying 20%. How practical that is, I'm not sure. But I think what should guide you on the number that you should be contributing is, once you identify the lifestyle that you want to have in old age, okay? Once you know that maybe I want an annuity or an income drawdown, paying me X amount per month, now work backwards. Okay, work backwards and get to see, is that equivalent to 15K? Is that equivalent to 60,000 per month? And now get to see what percentage that is and how realistic it is for you to be dedicating that amount from your gross income. Okay. Okay. More than one IPP for diversification, one leading to annuity and the other one to drawdown. Okay, maybe you could have 2. And yes, and by the way, it is possible to dedicate some of the funds to an IPP and another amount to an income drawdown. So do you have the 2023 return for the various IPPs? We get that around March. Okay, so that's when now all these IPPs usually, declare their returns for the previous year. So for 2023, from towards end of March, we should have now the 3-year comparative data that we've been sharing with our clients. Now you'll see that we'll update that to 4-year. So around March, towards the end of March, we should have that. Okay. So I still see we are in class, and there are just a few questions I had picked. Okay, I had picked from the questionnaires we had. We could answer them quickly. What happens if I fail to contribute for 1 month due to unavoidable circumstances? That has been answered. There won't be a penalty to that. But I would still recommend that if you fail for 1 month and you're able to catch up maybe in the following month, please do so. Catch up and even pay for what you didn't manage to pay. Okay. What options do I have for pension plans if my place of work does not offer them? I would say one option you have now, we have lands, open an individual pension plan and contribute for yourself. And maybe this could be something, this can be, when it comes to your next employer, you could see that if you could be able to negotiate a pension benefit into your package. Okay. So when should you build your retirement home? Okay, a question of when. We've agreed that this is a personalized journey. Of course, a lot of people say maybe by the age of 45, and sometimes maybe it's not doable. A good friend of mine, we went to celebrate the parents, they just set up an amazing, I don't even know, like a palace in the village for their retirement home, other than the home they have here in Nairobi. So they have a home in South Bay. Now they just said they just finished their village mansion, if I may call it, with the most amazing gazebo. And they're just about to retire. So everyone's journey is personal. Okay, so I think when really depends on you, but please ensure that by the time you retire, okay, hopefully ensure that first you figure out what your retirement home looks like. Is it maybe an apartment? Is it a mansionette? Is it somewhere in the village? So that you now start working towards that. That may inform you maybe going into a SACCO, or it will inform you maybe going for a mortgage. Okay, it may inform you building a fund, you know, like through a sinking fund and deciding, I do not want debt. I am going to save and build my home. So it's an individual journey. But I know a lot of people propose by the age of 45, but a retirement home even at 50 and 55 is still an amazing home. Which pension plan companies offer higher interest rates? We will get to share this with you after this call, the 3-year historical performance that we looked at an earlier slide. So IPPs versus MMF for retirement planning. I hope by now you can actually make a call on this, okay? For retirement planning, use the product that is for retirement purposes. Use a pension product. And this is not a case of IPP versus MMF. Use your MMF for your emergency fund. Use your MMF for your sinking funds. At retirement, use your MMF, you know, because you also build wealth elsewhere. You have your bonds, you have your what? The money that's probably even going to buying your medical insurance every other year is probably in an MMF, okay? But when it comes to retirement planning, always remember that IPP will give you an opportunity to purchase either the annuity or the income drawdown. Okay, so my parents, how to proceed when an employer isn't remitting your pension contributions. Please go to the HR desk, the pension liaison, okay? That's something you need to pick up with them, because the truth is, the likelihood that if you leave, you know, that employer without your contributions being remitted, like it becomes such a hassle, okay? So kama unakatwa kwa mshahara, like if it's a deduction that's already being made, then how are they holding on to that? You're already losing. How would they even compensate you for all the months that fund has not been invested? Okay, so I would say walk to that pension liaison desk and have that cleared. How to calculate how much you'll need for comfortable retirement and the different ways to save and invest for it. I believe we have really we have gone through this today, and I'll be sending you the pension projection guide. So you will come, you know. I know they say that at retirement, you should ensure you have an income that is 70% of your last income, okay? So maybe if you're retiring and you're earning 300K, 500K, then now you can work out like a 70% of your last retirement income. Now, I will be sending you a pension projection guide for you now to be able to crunch your numbers and see how much you would be needing to contribute on a monthly basis, okay? How long does one have to save in order to access pension, especially for a business fellow with no stable income? So please remember, we get to access our individual pension benefits from the age of 50. Early retirement in Kenya is 50. So before 50, for RBA regulated schemes, for your pension schemes, for your provident schemes, it would need like extraordinary circumstances to access, you know, your pension. This would either be in the event of total incapacitation, emigration from the country, death, etc. Okay, but if you're building your pension for business people, you will be able to access, these pension benefits from the age of 50, and now you can buy an income drawdown or an annuity. Those are the questions we had. I want to sincerely thank everyone who joined our class and stayed through the class. You have all been amazing. Thank you very much. This is my very first masterclass. Allow me to switch the video back on. I have sweat. I have spoken for a whole 2 hours plus. I'm allowed, but I woke up so early this morning and I was just so excited to do this because if there's one thing I said I want to do this year is I want us to have more conversations around money matters, around protection, around retirement planning, around investments. And it's my hope that these sessions, and why these sessions are not paid for, is because I do not want us to have a barrier of entry to this knowledge. What I can share from what I have learned throughout my career, I want to be able to share it with you so that you make informed decisions in your money, in your wealth building journey. So it's truly an honor. Thank you for staying with us, and thank you for your attention to the tail end of this masterclass. I'm so excited we get to call it a masterclass, not a webinar. Yes, I would really love to see your feedback on the chat. Please drop us something before you leave the class. And it's my hope that next time also, when you get to see a call, because we will be doing this month on month, we'll ensure that we have a masterclass rolled out each month. When you see this, please share the invite with your networks, with your family members. We will also get to share the recording for this session, so that share it with your networks. There is someone who could pick something from this conversation. And my call to action still stands, okay? And I want to also share with you my contacts, the last slide that has the contact. My call to action still stands. Please take action from today. So today may be Saturday, so maybe from Sunday, from Monday, but this is still a good time. If you have your financial advisor, drop them a text today and tell them, Monday, I need to open pension. You get? If you would love to work with me, I would truly be an honor. Drop me an email or go to my IG, drop me a DM or chat me on WhatsApp, and we can pick up that conversation on Monday. We need to be that generation of Kenyans who will be financially secure in our retirement. We will get to live our best lives in our retirement years. So I'm truly grateful for your time. I wish you a blessed weekend. At least hata huku naona jua inatokea kiasi. I wish you a truly blessed weekend, and thank you so much for honoring me with your time. Have a blessed weekend.